So let's move on to another perspective. So FAUCON from Utopia, Sainte, France. I am.
Voilà. Alors, je souscris à tout ce qui vient d'être dit.
Well, I agree with everything that has just been said. It's very interesting and it's full of issues that we can share. Now, this is a project that has been presented in 2019. We have started to work on that project in 2017-18. Roughly speaking, I believe that our audience, the filmgoers, bring their own contribution, and we have a lot to learn from our audience. My idea from the start was to think about how to build a virtuous building, and I started from the opposite side. We talked a lot about innovation, but what I wondered is, what about if the genuine innovation is to stop innovating, particularly in investing in very costly and energy-consuming technologies? Because a good, meaningful film does not need high technology in order to be defended. A good film needs thinking and quality. In fact, very quickly, I realized that when you try to have an environmental building, we come across a lot of obstacles. Obstacles from architects, institutions, sometimes printed media. So it's going to be more costly, 30% more costly than an ordinary cinema building. So we don't feel like we want to, and we can't afford to spend 30% more. So is it unavoidable to spend 30% more for an environmental building, cinema building? Now, we did not try to be a precursor or a pioneer, because we thought that there were some cinema buildings already in existence, and that maybe we could copy what they had done. And we realized also that we did not tick any boxes. And when we presented our project to committees, they told us, no, you can't have subsidies. For instance, if you want to have photovoltaic devices, then it's not going to be subsidized. Now, that was before COVID, and that was before there was so much awareness about climate change. Now we are we're requested to innovate, but a lot of things that already exist, and I do hope that the following projects are going to be more subsidized than our project was. It was a hard work for us. It was time-consuming, and I think that for other cinemas, it's going to be easier. Everything that we've done is going to be overtaken, and it has to be improved, of course. But the objective, of course, is to work for general interest for all the other cinemas. Now, what's innovative about our project or non-innovative about our project? Now, when we began to talk about dry toilets, people laughed. Now, this picture, this drawing here is very funny. It's the North-South dialogue between rich people and poor people. Now, we waste our common good in toilets. 350,000 Olympic pools in France. It's really a big waste. Now, represented by our toilets. And I think that dry toilets would be much better, and we could use the water that we would save in order to water our fields, for instance. Now, I was laughed at.
Pour bien cheminer, en fait, le truc, ça a été
And in order to make progress, we tried to look for help. I did not start with meeting architects. We have a model in Utopia in our network, which is completely independent. And it was difficult to gain that independence and to gain that freedom, but it's also a nice resource because we manage not to do everything that is imposed to us. So people want to impose some models to us, and it's possible for us because we're all independent not to follow that model. We're criticized for having small houses, small cinema houses, and also have a single screen. And I replied that it was a nice model as well. And it's a model that made it possible to be very COVID resilient because we have a natural sobriety. And we could switch to very simply to an energy sobriety. If you don't have a large hall to cool or to heat up, then it's already possible to save money. And I do concur with what has been said. The first thing to do is to make an assessment. The first assessment to be made, and it's free of charge. You can do that for all the European halls, particularly in Europa Cinéma. The first assessment would be based on the sum of all our energy and water consumption and divide that by the number of annual admissions to show how much is consumed for each moviegoer. So that would make it possible to know where we start from and ask questions about how we can close the gaps. Now here, I'm showing you this picture, and I didn't have time to show you anything and to make nice slides, but I'm sorry about that. But in on this picture, you can see that small is beautiful. This is a small building, and we tried to use as few harmful products as possible. Particularly, we try to limit the use of concrete. Of course, concrete is a good product, particularly for the foundations of a building. And some limestone concrete foundations have lasted for more than 2,000 years. But we wanted to limit the use of concrete to the foundations. And we tried to use the natural slope of the building in order to make it possible for the disabled people to come in and to enter the building. And the whole structure is in wood with local carpenters. So you can see on the Utopia website, there are videos. All our walls are made of straw. Straw is a waste product. So it's a very small industry sector, but it's quite possible to use straw. And as I said, the foundations are made of a rot-proof concrete. Now, for all those technologies, I would like to invite you to visit the building. And I do agree about what you said about greenwashing, because when you see that organic tomatoes are packed in plastic, I think that it's some kind of greenwashing. And we could talk about label washing. I could label my product with a low carbon label, but it's going to cost 23,000 euros, which could be much better used for other purposes, just to be able to label my building in the right way. I think this label business is not quite what we want to do. What's important is to decrease the operating costs with solar panels, with wood heating, and then we are going to have a better impact. So environmental respect is quite profitable.
Okay, again, a really honest assessment, but just the measuring, you're quite right. When you're looking at how you can measure each part of the process, when you've got something new like this, it's kind of it's perhaps easier in the sense that everything is being invented for that very reason. But that's feels like something anyone could do in an older cinema or anywhere. It's look at the areas where there could be an impact and then make sure that they are measured and your response is understood. So I thought that was a really valuable point. Does anyone have any questions for Anne? Yes, the front man.
Good morning. My name is Christos Ringas from Athens, Greece, and I actually did the very first Europa Cinema's Next Change project for Utopia Cinema in Bordeaux, together with your colleague, Mr. Stefan Bonato. So, if I recall correctly, there are 6 different cinemas for Utopia in different French cities. And I was wondering, since most of the projects that you were doing were collaborative, like, for example, previewing of the films in order to do the programming, so this was a common effort, why didn't you choose to collaborate to innovate this project together with your fellow cinemas?
Alors, tout simplement, c'est par manque de temps, en fin de compte.
Well, we don't have the time. It takes a lot of time to launch a project like this one. All the Utopia cinemas are cooperative cinema, collaborative cinemas. But I'm, so to speak, the only one to support this project and to talk about the builders, etc. But now, of course, we've had a lot of echo in the media. But in fact, it's thanks to COVID and thanks to the awareness concerning climate change that we are considered now to be on the right track. I have followed Europa workshops, but it's a question of time. I just didn't have the time. We organized really great workshops, but I didn't manage to attend all of them.
Which is collaboration and working with each other is really important, but you can work at different speeds. And I think that's what you're doing. You have leaders and you have people who are inspired by and maybe moving in the direction you're doing. I also thought your point was very good there, that there is positive publicity that can come out of it. So positive, you have a soundtrack downstairs. Every time you say something good, that pumping music comes through. If you feel like dancing, please express yourself that way. But no, it's really, it's good, Anne. I think you made the point really clearly. So if a round of applause for Anne, if we may, while we can hear us.
Et puis, c'est concret, en fait. C'est concret.
And it's
Donc,
concrete. It's very concrete. You have to come. It's an hour and a half from Paris. Please come, propose, make other suggestions, exchange our views, and beginning with the dry toilets, because it does not cost anything,
Right, we're all
and you don't have any more toilets to unplug.
on the dry toilet route to your place. So thank you again. That's fantastic. Okay, so again, we're talking a lot of here because we're talking about practical initiatives on the green side. A lot of main issues. Thanks to you and thanks to everyone, and enjoy your lunch.